Awesome.
From The Apprentice, right?
Yeah,
was it season 1?
Definitely.
Was it season 1?
Yep.
That's where I remember you from. So just tell us a little bit about, and I didn't know you were you were just kind of sharing about your background in politics.
Yep.
I mean, obviously your background in business. So
Yeah.
just really honored to meet you. Just talk to us a little bit about what your journey has been throughout life. I know we don't have all that much time.
No. As I mentioned, I am a lifelong Politico. I mean, I had that Nigerian immigrant stepfather he was my stepfather, but I had that African American influence of, like he said, Kwame, turn off the television, with the heavy Nigerian accent, and he would let us watch 2 shows sometimes. It was Peter Jennings' World News Tonight on ABC, and it was 60 Minutes CBS. And so literally, like, here I am in 5th grade, like, super hyped on politics, super hyped on, global affairs, knowing the issues, and classmates were talking about, like, Transformers, and all the other figures. Not that I couldn't talk about
Jennings
that.
Wasn't talking about Transformers.
So I'm like thinking like what Peter said last night, and so that got me a very early age hooked on politics, history, understanding, that we're all a small part in a larger whole, and we can all do our part to be change agents. And so from that, I've worked on campaigns, like I mentioned. I was an early fundraiser for a guy who no one knew called Barack Obama. I had a buddy from Chicago call me in 2004, and he said, Kwame, I know you got a lot going on right now. It was right after The Apprentice. We'd like you to come down here and raise some money for this guy. I said, who's this guy? He goes, well, his name's Barack Obama. We think he's got a lot of traction, blah, blah, blah. I was like, look, this is my buddy Kenny. I said, Kenny, if you say this is the guy and I need to come, I'll be the headliner. So literally, I was like the headliner fundraiser for Obama at an event in Chicago when he was running for Senate before president.
Wow.
So like I have the Obama for U.S. Senate
U.S.
button.
Senate, yes.
And so had some great pictures with him, great interactions. We did some back and forth jokes about Harvard, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But he was a great guy. I've worked on Michelle Obama's When We All Vote campaign to get voter turnout. I've worked on her Let's Move initiative for fitness. I worked on Mayor Bloomberg's New York City outreach to black voters and professional voters when he was trying to get reelected. I've worked on Anthony Fox, Mayor for Charlotte's campaign and fundraise. I've worked on Adrian Fenty, the youngest mayor in the history of DC. I worked on his campaign as well, a fraternity brother and friend of mine. So I've been involved at various different levels for quite some time. I was a DNC speaker for the Democratic National Convention North Carolina delegates in 2004 when John Kerry was running.
That's the same year that Obama did it.
Yeah. When he did his debut speech. So I was there then in Boston. That was awesome. And so I've just been in and out of politics, involved for quite some time, and then obviously as a political commentator for almost the last 15 years, one of the early people who came out against Trump when it wasn't popular, when the media thought it was all a joke, and I did a press conference on CNN along with Randall Pinkett, the winner of The Apprentice from the 4th season, I believe, and a few other contestants. We were on CNN, nationwide coverage, and we laid out the case for why he wasn't going to be a good candidate and what America needed to be afraid of. Unfortunately, not that many people listen, but what's unfortunate as well is all the things we said came true. And so like, it's been an interesting journey. And now, I'm really trying to make sure that more people are coming to the table with different visions. More people are coming with different spirits of leadership, kind of opening up the table of ideas, which I think is really important to me, to inclusion. I mean, I asked a tough question tonight about race.
You did.
And I was adamant about it being included in the debate. I was like, people,
thank you for that.
People are like, maybe we shouldn't do this, it's divisive. And people always want to say it's divisive when you want to talk about race. But it's the elephant in the room. And it's not only just the original sin, but it's like the ongoing gift that keeps on giving in a negative way, right?
And this the American story.
And so if we don't talk about it, I mean, even Vice President Kamala Harris was on The View, I think yesterday. She posted something really interesting from a clip about how she said, we can't address race if we can't even talk about race, right? This whole like denialism and all the other stuff. So I thought it was really important to get the candidates on record about race and policy and their views, and I think it really opened up an interesting piece of dialogue. So it's been an interesting journey. I was very excited to be involved with Free and Equals debate tonight. Hopefully I'll be involved with the next one as well, and so we'll see.
You did a great job, and I appreciate you asking that question, especially in light of former Ambassador Haley pretty much saying that we've
never
had racism in this country.
My God.
I mean, it's.
And what's funny is I live in South Carolina now. So
you live in South
Carolina?
Carolina.
So I lived in New York for 20 years, and then I traveled the world for 2, and then I've relocated back to South Carolina temporarily as I've made my way back to this thing. So I'm in the mix.
In the mix.
And
South Carolina
I know Nikki Haley and all the
gosh.
things, and yeah, it's unfortunate to hear some of the things that she's shared around race. And hopefully, there'll be an aha moment for her. I think Trump tried to provide one with the dog whistles and playing with her name, and now realizing that.
That's my thinking. Why'd you change your name?
And
there was
the good thing
no
is
racism in this country. What are you hiding if that's the but?
It's another dog for another day, right?
Dog. You're in an interesting state, so obviously you're political, so Bakari Sellers.
Yep, Bakari's a legend down there in South Carolina.
So I'm a Morehouse man. And
you're a Morehouse man?
Yeah, so I went there to help him with his campaign when we were in college.
I've done a lot of HBCU work. So both my parents went to Howard. So
I said, look, I think we'll have a black president before they have a black governor. I mean, it was...
In South Carolina, or are you saying just in general?
In South Carolina.
Yes.
I said that in 2000, and I think it was 2005.
And what's interesting about South Carolina is even with that 30%, hyperactive voting block of African Americans, they still struggle to get a black governor in South Carolina. I mean, South Carolina's it's a lovely state. People are very nice, but also there's a lot of under the surface things, just under the surface, just underneath the sweet tea. You know what I'm saying? Just underneath the peach cobbler.
Right.
So it's a great state, and I enjoy it. The people have been very nice to me, but it's still wrestling with a lot of its historic demons. But yes, I'm friends with Bakari. Know all those guys down there. Obviously, James Clyburn, the man from South Carolina. Now that South Carolina's been moved up in the primary, so lots of stuff going on in that state.
I know it's so many things we could talk about, but I guess I'll end on this note. So tell us a little bit about what has your journey been since The Apprentice?
Oh yeah, it's been a long one. The season that was the first, that was kind of the dawn of reality television for competition, really, for this next chef show and competitions in every different way. I joined reality TV before it became a business and before it became something that people aspire to as a career projection. And so I was really excited to be part of that first season. We did a lot of great things. It was great to kind of revolutionize television, and it gave me a great platform. And from that, I've developed an entrepreneurial company. I did a men's apparel company called Crimson by Kwame, which was launching ties into 150 stores all over the United States, Dillard's, JCPenney, and other stores. I've been a political commentator, as I mentioned, for CNN, MSNBC, Fox, a global contributor for Newsweek. I have traveled the world. I was one of the original global digital nomads. I left the city in 2017 before the pandemic. And decided that I needed to see the world, and I wanted to think about ways to kind of what I call create an intentional disruption in my life and see different things and learn things from a leadership sabbatical standpoint. So I made it to 50 countries in that journey.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, now I've gotten to almost 80 in my life, so I'm up there. I've been a lot of places. I wear my East African wristband.
I caught that.
From Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania.
You can't
hide it.
I caught
so I had great vibes there in Zanzibar. Love that side of the world. So I'm I'm a citizen of the world, and I enjoy traveling. But I've got a lot of faith in the American democratic system. Yes. Being an agent of change, doing my part to contribute. And I recently heard an interesting clip from MLK on MLK Day just the other day, and he was talking about how people had called for many blacks to, Morehouse man obviously, for many blacks to leave America and go back to Africa. And he said, look, there's nothing wrong with that. Africa is the country of our birth. It is an ancestral home. However, our ancestors have contributed so much here that there's no need to go back when we have so much invested here. Blood, sweat, tears, treasure, reparations, all the tough topics.
Not leaving that.
And so I think there's still a lot of hope here and ways for us to have change. So I really appreciate you.
I appreciate you, Kwame.
Thank you, Morehouse.
And so what? You went to Harvard as well?
I went to Harvard Business School.
Yeah. Okay.
And so undergraduate, University of North Carolina. Oh, you're HLS?
Yeah.
When did you finish HLS?
2010.
Nice. We were kind of. I finished in 2000 at HBS, but it was a great journey, and you know everything at HLS.
Yeah. Well, yes. I mean, Harvard is a small community, but wow,
some bright folks up there. You're in good company.
Well, look, wish you absolutely the best.
Yes.
Hopefully, you are doing the one on February 29th because we'll be here to covering that, and we'll continue the conversation. But thank you, brother.
Thank you so much.
A lot of people. I'm telling you, I gotta say this. We were at Morehouse when you were doing the thing. That brother out there doing it.
The house. Look, I got so much love for the house. I have so many friends.
You have people who've been watching,
yes.
and you help open doors. So
thank you
for that. Keep doing what you do, Kwame.
Thank you, my man.
Where can people find you too?
They can find me on Instagram at Kwame Inc. They can find me on my website at KwameInc.com, and Kwame is INC, so like incorporated. KwameInc.com is where they can find me on my website. On Instagram, I'm on LinkedIn under Kwame Jackson. Can keep up with all the things that I'm doing and hopefully engage and move forward.
That's what I'm talking about. And I caught the crimson.
Yes.
See, I didn't have to